Well, goalies, coaches, parents, everybody, welcome in. My name's Andy Kent, here from MEGA Goaltending. Today, we're going to kind of talk about um, setting up a routine. So first, we're going to kind of go over the importance of routine and why you should have one. And if you don't, why, like, you want to know the why something is important. Otherwise, it's unlikely that you're going to be compelled enough to do any of the hard work necessary to change some of your behaviors. So I'm gonna give you a couple kind of significant factors that contribute to this, like having a routine and the tremendous advantage of having it is. So first, having and identifying predictable routine, it grounds you, stabilizes you, as well as resets you and like recenters you. So you cannot perform at your best if you're distracted by other things that have been pulling at your attention all day. And having a routine helps reset you and allows you to get focused on that task at hand. Next, the way you start most anything is usually how you end it. So starting your practice or game right will give you momentum that'll carry you through your practice or game. If you're rush getting on the ice, you're going to spend the rest of the practice or game kind of wind in your face, playing catch up. Your entire time, you're just not going to be at rest, right? You're going to tend to be reactive and not proactive, and definitely not performing at your best, right? Is it easy to stick to a routine? No, definitely not. And after this webinar, I'm sure most of you guys will be thinking or saying to yourself, yeah, I can do that. Sounds simple enough. And some of you will even like implement a routine for a little bit, but then you'll start drifting or get sloppy with it or stop doing it altogether. And this right here is what separates people. And that's where the separation happens. As long as you stick to your routines over time, others will drift. They're going to fall off. This is where you have the great advantage on your competition. That consistency is key. And over a long period of time, it is what separates a lot of people, right? So now that we've kind of gone over like the why it's important, now let's go over to like what it looks like creating a routine. So today, what we're going to kind of focus on, you can have routines all over the place. Obviously, you guys are starting school. You guys could have a routine for how you wake up in the morning, doing your homework, all that sort of stuff. But today, what we're going to focus on is your routine at the rink. So first things first, you want to center your mind and prepare your body and mind for the upcoming practice or game. So we want to be able to clear our head of all of the distractions. There's so many distractions, schools, iPads, social media, friends, whatever. We want to be able to just clear our head of all those distractions that have been pulling at us all day, right? And then we want to start inputting and focusing on positive, productive things that are about to happen and get our mind focused on the task at hand, right? There's a couple of ways of doing this, and you'll need to kind of find what works best for you. But one of the ways to start calming your mind is using controlled breathing. There is a Linus Allmark of the Boston Bruins, just won the Vezina Trophy, NHL top goalie. He has a quote about breathing, and the quote is, the whole thing about breathing, whenever you do it and you think about it, stuff kind of just disappears because you're focusing on the one thing. So if it's good enough, and that's what the top goalies, um, obviously the Vezina Trophy winner, the NHL is using, it's probably good enough for you guys too. And also, this can be done by the goalie, coaches, parents, by the way, as coaches and parents probably have more distractions than anybody on the team. So you can use these techniques to help center yourself and let some of that stuff melt away so you're not holding on all those distractions, whether it's stuff from work or whatever it is, right? So you can do this stuff on the way to the rink when you're putting on your gear, tying your skates if you're a coach. There's many different like breathing exercises you can do, and you can Google a ton of them. But one that we kind of found to work really well and we think is effective is called box breathing. And the way that box breathing works, kind of think of a box, right? So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold your breath. So breathe in, then hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds. And then hold your breath 4 seconds, breathe in for 4 seconds, And that just goes round and round. And you just keep repeating that for a couple minutes or until you feel like all the distractions kind of melted away and you feel like you're kind of centered and you've settled your mind a little bit, right? So that's a way and a technique that you guys can use. Like I said, coaches, parents, goalies, everybody can use that to help dissolve and melt those distractions away. So now that you've kind of got clean slate, eliminated all the distractions, you want to start inputting positive thoughts. Otherwise, negative ones will start creeping back in. There's going to be other distractions pulling at you. So what we're going to do is we're going to input positive thoughts about what we want to be doing. And you can be doing that on the rink. And the way you want to do this is think about and visualize what you actually want to do during the upcoming practice or game. Like an example, if it's a practice and you're working on improving or reinforcing like a skill that you want to imagine yourself doing that skill correctly. So let's just take glove saves, for example, right? That practice, you want to get better at glove saves. So imagine yourself, puck gets shot, you're watching the puck all the way in, but not only that, you're driving your shoulders to the puck, you're turning your nose so it's facing, the pocket of your glove when you make the save, and just kind of input those mental images if that's something you're working on. You do the same thing, block or stick, whatever you're kind of working on for that day, right? If you're about to play a game, same thing. Visualize yourself getting set, getting on angle prior to a shooter shooting a puck or whatever. So kind of you can have those different mental images that you're starting to input on top of that blank clean slate. And now you're in a lot better mental state. You've prepared yourself to have a successful practice or game. So if you can make it a routine, dissolving or melting those distractions away, and then layering that with inputting positive mental imagery prior to a practice or game, you're going to have that momentum will carry you throughout, right? Doing that consistently over a long period of time, that's where we're going to see the biggest benefits, right? Some people, like we said, you're going to do this once, twice, but you'll fade away from doing it. If you continue to do it, that's where you're going to see those benefits. So now that we've kind of got our head in a good spot, now let's talk about how do we prepare our body, right? If your schedule allows, and now I get it, you're coming from a lot of events, there's a lot on your plate. You don't always have a ton of time to do some of this stuff, right? But prior to hopping on the ice, try to get in a quick warm up that elevates your heart rate and it starts activating your muscles, right? It can be super simple, like basic routine of jogging around the rink, just up and down the bleachers, back and forth a couple times, or doing some butt kickers and Frankensteins, and then follow that up with some light stretching, right? During the light stretching, you can incorporate your breathing or you're adding some positive mental imagery in there too. So you can kind of layer that up if you want. Then you can follow that up with the short hand-eye warm-up, right? So a good hand-eye warm-up that's pretty simple that I think is effective is grab a tennis ball, grab your goalie glove, and go find a wall, throw the tennis ball off the floor of the wall, and then catch it with your goalie glove, right? So if you're doing that little routine, now you kind of have a habit of getting your body woken up. You're ready to kind of physically do the activity that you're about to do, which is play a game or practice, right? So if you've prepared your mind and your body, you're going to perform your best, right? And like I said, not all the time you're going to have the ability to do this before practice, right? But if you can do this only just before games, it's something better than nothing, right? All of this routine that we've kind of talked about so far is prior to stepping on the ice, right? And there's things you can do while you're driving to the rink, getting your gear on, all that sort of stuff. So there is really no excuse that you can't add some of this to your routine, no matter how rushed you are, right? And some of it, maybe you don't have time to go do jog or light stretch or a hand-eye routine. So be it, right? The more consistent you can be doing this, the better off you're gonna see the results, right? Now, having an on-ice routine is also important. So let's just say you can't get that warm up before off ice and all this sort of stuff. You hop on the ice. Let's try to be the first one on the ice, right? Then get a little quick 30 seconds to a minute on ice routine. We've I encourage you to do the same thing, whether it's practice or a game. And we've had our goalies, we try to get them to do what we call is like a V drill warm up. That's where you just do just a pivot, shuffle, then pivot T push, pivot butterfly slide, then recover your feet, backside push, and just a light stretch. So you're kind of getting those movements that you're about to do and just kind of waking up your muscles of like, yeah, let's do one of those. You do that, it kind of elevates your heart rate really quick, gets you ready to go, just kind of like that off ice stretching and stuff we talked about. Now, if you have a routine like that, you're going to set yourself up for a ton of success for practice or game. And if you do it consistently, like I said, we're going to hear the same thing. Try to pound it in there. It's like the more consistent and over extended period of time is when you're going to see that advantage over your competition, right? So the momentum of those actions carry you right through your game and practice, and it starts just off on the right foot. So let's just kind of compare that to what we see happening a ton as coaches. And I'm sure you guys as players or parents or coaches see this happening as well all the time, right? And this is why getting a routine is so important. But when we're at the rinks, we see players come in and they're either on their phone or they look like they're sleepwalking, like they just woke up and it's maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're getting their gear on, their mind's off, or they're just distracted on whatever squirrel brains is happening and they're just out, right? Then they get on the ice either right on time or maybe even a couple minutes late, right? Coach is already starting to explain part of the first drill. So the player or goalie kind of get in the back of the line and go with the flow or hop in the net and whatever. I'll just stop the puck and go through the motions, right? There's no purpose, no intention in anything so far. And remember, the way you start something is the way you're going to probably follow through and end that way. So that momentum of no purpose, no intention, that follows you throughout the entire practice or game. And you're probably getting worse because you're reinforcing bad habits, right? So if you compare those two players of two scenarios just by adding a routine, it's not really that hard to see the dramatic difference, no matter the skill level of the player, that it will make. So whether you're the most skilled or the least skilled, if you have a routine and someone doesn't over a long period of time, you will probably see much better gains and benefits of it, right? So these routines sound simple, and hopefully you kind of create and implement a routine for yourself. However, like we said, it's the drift, the becoming sloppy, the falling off that you're fighting off. And if you can stay consistent over time, that's where you're going to have a great advantage over your competition. That's kind of all I have right now. I mean, I kind of spoke a lot there on routines, but that's really it. It's just over time. So thank you guys kind of for taking your time out of the day. I know we're going to get some questions and answers here, but that was kind of the message around routines today. So if you want to ask a question, a lot of you guys did ask questions, and I'll get to them. If you have any that you want to ask right now, you can unmute yourself, go for it, or in the chat, feel free to just add in the chat some questions you have. If you don't have any questions, and while maybe you're just listening or whatever, I want you to put in the comments, what is your big takeaway from the message that we just kind of went over today? It was short, under 15 minutes. So what is your takeaway from the last 15 minutes? And then I'll kind of start going into some questions here people have asked. So question here, hold on. How should goalie development change as the goalie gets older? Like U6 all the way up to U18. Like what are key areas that coaches and goalies should be working on for each age group? That's a great question. So as we'll build up. So as you're kind of starting out, obviously U6, the biggest thing here at that age is making sure they're having fun, right? It is a game. Let's make sure that we had it having fun and keep going to the rink, right? Then once we've kind of established that this is something they love to do and something they really want, we can start kind of building on that. And where you'd start is fundamentals, and a lot of it's body mechanics, good knee bend, um, all that sort of stuff. And then the simple stuff, deflecting pucks to the corner with your stick, how to stand in your stance, how do you catch a puck, and then from there, how do you do goalie specific movement, whether it's shuffles and all this, and you start building from there, right? Once you have the techniques and foundation, then you start moving into some game situations and start making decisions. And even at the younger ages, you can have them start working on decision makings on staying up or going down to make saves, right? And you build and build and build off of that. And then eventually you get to U18s or even pros, and you are really refining those super small details. And you would think that, oh, it's a whole lot different than a U6 or U8, but you're still really working on the shuffles and T pushes. You're just doing it at an extremely high level and with extreme attention to detail. So that's the biggest thing, just more and more attention to detail and more game situations and decision making once you kind of have a good foundational base. I think how important is dryland on game days? I mean, hopefully we went over it a little bit there, but you want to be able to prepare your mind, your body, and be ready to take that momentum into the game, right? So hopefully by giving those couple techniques, whether it's breathing and layering it with positive mental imagery and getting your body flowing and getting your hand-eye stuff, ultimately, like we said, you got to figure out what works best for you. Like, not everyone's routine has to be the same, but I think there's some key points that probably should be there, whether it's waking up your eyes, your body, and then clearing your head, and then starting with that good mental imagery. Keeping a goalie engaged during practice. That's definitely something that I see happen all the time. Part of it is they need to be included. They have to be part of the practice plan, and they have to be their team, part of the team, just like anyone else. Now, I get head coaches and assistant coaches. You have 18 other guys or girls on the rink at a different time, and maybe only one of them's a goalie, right? So you got to count for 17, but they just can't be forgotten, right? So when it comes to keeping them engaged, you have to kind of really be cognizant of the work to rest ratio. If it's all shots, bang, 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 bang the whole time, like it is unrealistic to expect a youth goalie, much less a college or pro, to be able to maintain good form, focus throughout that whole time. You're going to have to give them some rest in there. And then we have a program, our connected coaching program, that we can also help by giving you guys drills to do, with also some specific feedback and key points to look for. So I'd be happy to go over any of that with anybody that wants to as well. But that's something that you guys could use to kind of keep your goalie engaged during team practice. Also, any drill that you do can be tailored to help the goalies, right? If you're working on glove saves, just because we kind of talked about it, you can have everyone go through the line. We're shooting all glove side this time. So the goalie gets to work on something. The players are working on some target practice, and best of both worlds, right? So that's something that you guys can do. Off-ice reaction drills, a lot of hand-eye stuff. I mean, you can get creative with it, but you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel, right? So I like having your glove on, because a lot of times when you're catching a tennis ball or medicine ball or whatever you're catching with a bare hand, you catch that different than you do with your glove on. Because if you're catching pucks right in the middle of your palm, it's probably bouncing out. So working on trying to have something catch it in your pocket, I think that's a big aspect for you guys that will help with off-ice reaction, right? Pre-practice game stretching, I'd say you don't want to overstretch and work yourself out where you're end up getting a little too tired or too fatigued. Just keep it kind of light, keep your body warm, loose, and kind of feel your body. It might be different. Some days you might need more stretching in different areas or more attention than others, right? But just having something that's going to get your legs, your groins, your hips, your upper body a little bit warmed up, and you don't have to go too crazy. I think that's a lot of the questions that were asked. Any questions from anybody that's still here? I'm seeing some good stuff and what we learned or got out of today's practice or session. Like a consistency routine. Matt, last 15 minutes creating a routine for all goalies to create their own changes. Yeah, love it. Jeff, erase the distractions with breathing for sure. If you just do that, that'll go a long way. Getting rid of distractions. Love it. More about the connected coaching program. So I can show you guys what we have. I'll share my screen if you guys want to see this. But our connected coaching program, can you guys see this? I'm hoping yes. We use the Coach Now platform, and the way we do this with whether you're association or you're an individual, we have kind of put everything on a tee for you. So if you're a goalie or a coach, doesn't really matter. This is a ton of great information for you guys, but it's consumable, right? The biggest thing with this program, it is timely and not overwhelming, because there's so much goalie information. You go to YouTube, you get drowned with information, right? What we have is every week, whether you're Pee-wee, Squirt, Bantam, doesn't really matter. We have specific to your age level weekly posts throughout the season. So we usually send those out on Sunday. So let's just take a Squirt A, for example, right? We'll start you off with some warm-up drills. There's a little video of me telling you how this is going to work. And then every Sunday, there's Squirt. Obviously, we're starting basic movement. There's a little PDF with a mini webinar. And this mini webinar, commercials, right? But you guys can, we're not going to watch commercials here. So you can kind of get the gist. It's a quick little mini webinar, kind of like what we did, but it's got video of NHL goalies, top end goalies, with us doing voiceovers on what you should be looking for or doing in that specific theme, right? And then every week there's 2 drills. So like you said, here's a skating drill, the shooting drill. We're starting pretty basic because it's the first week with Squirts.
We can't wait for the NFL on C.
We got more commercials. We're not going to watch them, but you get the idea. Same thing the next Sunday. Here's another mini webinar.
Okay, let's take a look at some downward movement here.
Right, you can kind of get the idea. This one's a minute long, followed by 2 other skating drills, shooting drill, skating drill, another mini webinar, glove saves, and you kind of see how it works week after week. Pretty consumable. Like I said, this is 45 seconds. So in your car ride to the rink, if you're a goalie, if you're a coach, in the time it takes you to lace your skates up, you can get a little mini webinar plus these videos. They're 5 seconds long of just a quick drill, right? So here's 2 things to work on. Here's 2 drills to use during your practice with your goalie if you're a coach. And if you're not a goalie expert, great. I gave you in 45 seconds something to look for, something to be focusing on. And that's for Squirts. Pee-wees are getting something different because they need something different. Like we said, it's a different part of their development they've added. There's some head trajectory, right? Change of angle plays, starting to get into more some bad angles, starting to get into that sort of stuff. Then Bantams, different than Pee-wees, right? And we have this all the way up. We have pro teams that we're working with, so you're not going to outgrow it. Just a change of angles, but screens, this box control. So you can kind of see how that works, right? So that's part of our connected coaching program. There is another element or layer that you could have if you want. And it's being able to get feedback with this. And we have a couple associations, like I said, some college and pro teams that have been using this. But you get those same Sunday posts, but you have the ability to, like, here's one of the Sunday posts, have the ability to reply with a video. And now you sent us a video of your goalie or yourself doing that drill. We're going to be able to give you guys feedback with voiceover, teleprompter, drawing, all that sort of stuff. So quick little 8-second video of you doing the drill, 3-minute response. There's another drill, minute response to it. So you can kind of see how that works. And that's week over week throughout the whole season. So very good, very easy to use, interactive. We've got people all over the world literally doing it. So that's kind of our connected coaching program. And I'd love to set up a time to meet or go over it more. Hopefully that explained what that is and what you guys are looking for.
Kind of jump in quick. There's costs associated with that, I'd imagine?
Yeah, I mean, it's not free, but it's really pretty affordable. I'd love to go over that kind of with you or for your needs too, because there's a couple different levels of it. Obviously, there's getting the video feedback, there's the base level, there's association discount and group bulk discount. Yeah. But I can definitely go over that with you. Probably offline.
Yeah, we'll follow up if we want to go that route.
Yeah. Any other questions or things along those lines? I might call on some people and tell me what they got out of today's practice if they haven't said it in the comments. Anybody want to share first? Otherwise, I'm going to start calling on people. Nate Hayes, you're on here, my screen. What did you get out of today's practice or today's session here? Or Charlie or Matt, Ashley, anybody? Perfect.
The part that I got, I mean, I wrote in there, just giving the kids really something to kind of focus down towards on different ways of thinking. I know our league, the goalies come in and it's just like a slap the gear on, get a chance to get ready. And we're hoping things are going to change here a little bit more with different goalie coaches coming in and other players that are just retiring to the island here and actually wanting to play hockey. And to basically give these kids, a leg up, the ones that have played D1 or they've played, farmhouse leagues and stuff like that. So really giving these kids a taste of, hey, here's some different concepts. We're all just playing the game. We're all playing a game we love, but getting them into the idea, even if they're coming to the rink. Yeah, it's only 5 minutes away from most kids' houses in a nutshell, but taking the minutes, getting their heads on straight. I mean, I know they all want to see their friends and horse around.
That's fun.
Against each other, but there's a time and place. But at the same time, the goalies, it's just like baseball. You got a catcher. It's the most important position. You don't think about it. Everybody thinks it's the pitcher. Well, yeah, it's the pitcher and the catcher together in baseball. In soccer, everyone's like, oh, it's the forward. It's the next Messi or the next Ronaldo, and it's. But in hockey, it boils down to it's all those kids on the ice. And if they're willing to defend their goalie, either forwards or backwards, they're willing to work the goalie and even join in that side. So it's not just for goalies in a nutshell, but you can have the other kids get their heads on straight and be like, okay, well, you want to horse around, you can horse around when, but you also got to make it fun to them to level a point once they're doing it. And once they're in that competition, that competition for them is to challenge themselves in that competition. They're not fighting somebody else. They're not trying to go for a win. They're trying to push out of their comfort zones and do it as a team together. And so, I mean, your techniques can go in both sides in a nutshell.
For sure. And like, I totally get it. Like, you're not going to be a professional at 8 years old, and you're going to be talking in the locker room to your friends, or you're going to do that when you're a pro too. That doesn't change. But there's some of these things you can do. I'm putting my gear on, I can do a little breathing, or I can make sure I'm the first on the ice so I can get my pre-routine in. Or on my way to the rink, I can do a little breathing to kind of center myself, right? So there's plenty of things you can work in there, and still have fun for sure. I agree. Sorry, I cut someone off there. I don't know who. Anybody else want to share what they kind of got out today? If not, I got another question for you guys. So, is there a topic or things that you would like us to kind of cover or go over? What are some things? Obviously, we kind of talked about routine today. Last webinar we did was on, getting prepared for tryouts and getting your right headspace for that, and tips on that. Is there any kind of topics or things that you guys would be interested in or would like more information on, or even just like a mini webinar like we had today? Five hole.
Okay, I'll jump in here quick. I don't know, who's all on the call, but as a newer goalie parent and coach, simple things like basic things, gear, kind of some of the basics that if you've been playing a while, you kind of, just know, but
Sure.
how does got to get size for gear? Is there better gear than others for younger goalies, or is there, one to take a jump up to higher end gear, or whatever? Any of those questions I think would be helpful.
For sure. We can definitely go over some stuff like that. We do have some videos that are kind of ancient. We can probably dust those things off. And
yeah, and I've been doing some Googling, but get it all in one spot, that'd be helpful.
Sure.
And I can tell you this, the reason I'm sitting here today is because, what I've seen the last whatever year is just the slow starts. You come out of the gate and you're just starting slow. And I've been talking routine. I've been coaching hockey for years and just getting your head space right, but it feels different for goalies. So
it's so different.
Yep.
Everything about it.
Yep.
Just is. There's no way around it.
I appreciate it though. Good info.
Yeah. Anything else? So kind of gear and along those lines for sure. Cover that stuff.
One I'm kind of struggling with across the board here is the transition from that, like, you got your squirts, you got your U8, U10 kids, but once they hit that U12, U14, 16, 18 league, they're growing. They're going through that teen spurt. They're going through all the techniques, or basically it's like we're just continuously going back to U8, U10 basics all over again. But all these kids grow at a different speed. They grow at different rates. They're having to try pads again. So I guess just a informative to the kids, like, hey, it's okay. Like, nothing's going to work out until, after Christmas break, you really figure out your growth patterns. Right. So I think growth patterns in a nutshell, because I remember playing like baseball and other sports, it was like, oh, I exploded. I went from a 3'10" kid to, I was ranking on 6 foot within my all-star years. And right. It was rough. Everything was off. All my speeds, all my control, everything was just, it hurt. It hurt to have hurt and play. So I guess more of a teen center focus kind of ordeal for them.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I know, like, a lot of it's figuring yourself out, and body awareness goes a long way, right? One of the really cool things with this connected coaching platform, and we have youth associations that are doing it across the board as well, but being able to show some body mechanics stuff, like I said, we're drawing on it, we're showing exactly things that you could be doing different, helps their body awareness a ton, because a lot of times you're not really focused on yourself, you're focused on trying to stop the puck in front of you, and it's just all weird, or things aren't happening. But once you take it to kind of a focus on, well, where is my balance? What is happening with my knee bend? I'm not bending my knees, or I am, or where are my hands, or whatever it is. Then you kind of start getting that body awareness, and that usually starts helping, especially as kids go through that growth spurt, because they're also pretty smart, intuitive. When they see a video of themselves, they're like, that is not what I thought it looked like. And it's like, yeah, I've been telling you, you're not doing what I think you're doing. You look like this, or whatever it is. So that definitely helps through that. And we can definitely work through that too. I don't know if that helps or not, but any other issues or things that would like to be addressed in either today or future webinars or short videos or anything positive? But I think outside of that last little bit, it was good, and hopefully you guys take some of this stuff to heart, right? So the big takeaways from today with routine: focus on the things you control, breathing, recentering yourself from anything that the distractions pulling at you, adding the positive element, positive focus to it, warming up your body and your hand-eye stuff. And if we do that over a consistent period of time, you guys are going to have a huge advantage over everyone else. If you guys are doing that over a period of time, people will fall off. Drift is what your guys are drift, and people just completely quitting on it is what you guys are going to be battling. And you're going to have to battle it. And if you battle it the best, you are going to end up on top. So that's kind of my key takeaways from today. Loved the comments, loved the feedback from you guys. We'll try to work on getting some more stuff, whether it's with pads or even some of the body mechanics stuff, maybe even some more goalie specific topics like 5-hole or glove saves and stuff like that. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for coming on. If you guys have any other questions, concerns, feel free to email me, Andrew at megagoaltending.com. And yeah, we'll be in touch with anybody that wants any more information. Let me know on this stuff. I think, was it Jeff that wanted follow up? We could probably follow up conversation with you as well. So thank you guys.